Oh, we live.
All right.
I can go. There we go.
Wait, what is that a picture? Is that a big cruise ship in in space behind you,
Yes, of
Clinton?
course it is.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
That's right. We're gonna launch Patreon just so we can get you back on the cruise.
That's more of a GoFundMe than a Patreon.
Wow.
Patreon, they expect to get something back.
Well, hopefully I would come back.
Right? Yeah.
Not always guaranteed.
No, that's true. That's what the drills are for when you're leaving port.
Hey, for whatever it's worth, I did see some people talk about. Well, I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about getting sick on the cruise. You know, and they always talk about, or people always worried about getting sick on a cruise.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't hear anything either.
Yeah, I saw somebody say they had the flu, but they ended up having to stay in their room.
Hey, where'd he go?
Clint did he close the window? I don't
Uh-huh.
know. But I got a little cold toward right at the end. But
Right, save it for the show. Save it for the show. You're talking about show content now.
I don't want to talk about that during the show.
Well, I didn't hear any of it anyway because
Oh.
StreamYard just dropped me for a second there.
I know. We saw you disappear. No, I was just saying that I haven't seen, like in years past, people were complaining about getting the COVID crud.
Or just general
cruise crud or con crud.
Yeah. I walked away. I had a little cold for, it's weird. I had a cold for like, what, 2 days? And it kind of went away. That's it.
People were leaving stickers and whatnot on our door. I got this kind of quasi salt monster thing going on.
That's nice.
I also got
Hey, I got somebody that was proud about Enterprise.
I got a tribble, but it attacked my ukulele.
Yeah, it looks like the resolution's off on your ukulele.
The resolution? What?
Because it was fuzzy on one side, it looked like your resolution was off. Yeah, I got like an Enterprise sticker.
Cool.
Somebody left this piece of crap on my door.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, topic is Trek.
I got one too.
Yeah, actually,
the Star Trek one was the StarTrek.com one was up at the bar in the observation lounge.
Yeah, I wanted one of those.
And then I got a live long and prosper off of somebody else's door.
And then Ultraman showed up.
Okay, save it for the show. Save it for the show.
Yeah, save the props.
Save
the props.
Okay, you ready?
Just about. Okay.
Affirmative.
Okay, make sure the thumb drive is in the mixer. Yep. Okay, good. Turn on the mixer. No more thumb drive. And here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Wait.
This is the topic is Trek.
Stop. I'm out of practice. I didn't hit the red button. I hit
When's the last time we did a show?
I'll never get that magic back again now. It's just
this cassette deck thing? I pressed the wrong button.
He pressed.
You got to turn it over. That's the problem. You're at the end.
Yeah, you got to go to side B.
He pressed rewind.
5, 4, 3, 2.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 154 for Friday, March 8th, 2024. Coming up in this episode, have no fear, Discovery is here.
Wait, stop. Do it again. I was watching the counter, and you were like halfway through your thing. The record light was on, the wheels were spinning, but the counter wasn't counting until you were like halfway through the date. So I don't want to chance it and cut the listener off. So
like a well-oiled starship.
No, that was a technology issue, not a user issue. There was something up on that. Okay, let's do it again. I'll just point at you when it's ready to go. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 154.3 for Friday, March 8th, 2024. Coming up in this episode, have no fear, Discovery is here. Leonard Nimoy makes a video. What? Star Trek sails for high adventure on the 7 seas, or at least one of them. All that and more right now on The topic is Trek. Ooh, and I lost. Oh, wait, we got to start again. Now it's my problem because when it dropped me, it dropped the show notes.
Oh, and now you're gonna have to explain the 0.4.
Exactly. All right, let me bring that back down.
Wow, they crossed a cruise ship with the Orville. All right, you ready?
Always, apparently.
The topic is Green Acres.
Hey, here we go. Shut up. We're getting ready to record.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 154.4 for Friday, March 8th, 2024. Coming up in this episode, have no fear, Discovery is here. Leonard Nimoy makes a video. No, it's true. Star Trek sets sail for adventure on the high seas. All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. Trek fans on the ocean.
No, why won't the music play? It was just there.
God.
All right, we're gonna do that again. I hit the button, and I hit the button again, and it's like,
where the hell did you get that image?
What do you mean? It's a picture from the cruise. What are you talking about?
Oh God! Oh my God!
We're gonna get this podcast right one of these days. Hey, if you're not watching the video, you're missing a lot of this.
Well, I'm telling you right now, there's a viewer out there who's probably going, I could do it now. I've got it memorized what he's going to say.
All right, Craig, either mute or shut up.
I did mute. I was muted.
Here we go. Ready? Let me just make sure the music wants to play this time. Okay, good. Ready?
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 154.5 for Friday, March 8th, 2024. Coming up in this episode, have no fear, Discovery is here. Leonard Nimoy makes a video. No, really, he did. He does. Well, we'll tell you about it. Star Trek sets sail for adventure on the high seas. All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. Trek fans on the ocean. Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrill-packed episode of The Topic is Trek. I am Clinton, one of your co-hosts, and as I always say, in order to be a co-host, you have to have other hosts. Makes sense, right? So beaming in to join me from parts unknown with the hip new catchphrase that's taken the internet by storm, it's Mr. Craig Stepp. My goodness. The transporter needs work.
I have to get out and push. Out of sight.
Well, I mean, space is big, so a lot of times you would be out of sight. So,
Got the pointy fingers going.
oh, I see. Doing that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The whole love boat thing going on there. Okay.
Yeah. Little Isaac going on.
Yeah. As little as, yeah. Okay.
There you go.
I was more sold on it before, but now the love boat thing, I don't know. When it's used already.
Right. Okay. Fine.
And
Whatever.
also so try again next time. And beaming in also to join us is Mr. Chuck Tomasi.
I don't know what's up with the sound effects tonight. I push buttons, and the computer over there says unexpected error. Anyway, I was looking at your opening image. Was that Leonard Nimoy in the background?
It was.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, okay, it's funny with just Gopher and Captain Stubing, but when you got a Spock photobombing, that's pretty fun.
Wait,
So,
you mean this image?
yeah.
Yes.
Look right past.
Oh, and there's the back. Oh, gotcha. It's
Yeah.
in the back. Yeah.
So once again, you got to watch the video to.
Yeah, you
If
have
you
to
watch
watch
the
the
video,
video.
get to see why I called it episode 154.5. So it's got that going for you as well.
Wait a minute. So did you Photoshop this yourself? Or is this
I
AI?
told you that's a picture from the cruise. Why don't you believe?
Because it's pretty good. Like
Because Leonard Nimoy passed away a long time ago.
He wasn't doing anything. He was just sitting there.
Which is a sad segue because we do have
Yes.
someone who did pass away.
Mhm.
Indeed. Well, we'd like to take a moment to recognize the passing of Kenneth Mitchell, who passed away on February 24th of this year at the age of only 49. He'd been battling ALS for 6 years, but his hope never faded. And he continued to stay active in Trek fandom and Trek productions as long as he could gather the strength to do so. We'll miss you, Ken. And we're sure that every warrior in Sto-Vo-Kor is trembling at the knowledge that Kor is on his way.
Absolutely.
We weren't sure how many celebrations or Klingon death chants to do because he played so many characters.
Yeah, played 3, and then he
Yep.
was an extra on an episode of Lower Decks. I don't know if he did any other work. Those are the ones I recall.
Well, I'll tell you something. I thought he is like a stark reminder of what ALS can do for you or do to you.
Right.
Because the first year I saw him on there playing basketball.
Yep.
Literally the next year he was in a wheelchair, and I was like, "What happened?" And
The
then
next year, he can't really speak without the assistance of a
Right.
computer. And then we
yeah,
didn't see
so
him.
it was I'm not gonna say, I don't mean amazing as in like it was great. I mean it's amazing to see how it progressed, and it's like I said, it's a stark reminder of how this can really take somebody.
Right. And that research is always essential in cases like this to, hope that one day we get that cure.
Mm-hmm.
But
So,
we'll try to lighten things up. I know the past couple of episodes we seem to start off with somebody who's passed away. So
Yeah.
I hope nobody pass away, please.
We're all
Right.
getting older. It's gonna happen.
But speaking about things that shouldn't happen, I shouldn't have to ask Charlie X if it's okay to go ahead with our subspace chatter section. So what do you say, Charlie?
Nah, denied again.
Yeah. I thought as much. All right. Well, Chuck, why don't you disobey Charlie X's orders and give us the first story?
Up yours, Chuck. Oh, the Charlie Chuck.
That doesn't work. No, it doesn't.
Didn't work.
No.
The final season of Star Trek Discovery will premiere exactly when we said it would, April 4th. What we didn't expect is that Paramount Plus would premiere the first 2 episodes on the same day. Ooh, we got our work cut out for us. With only 10 episodes for the entire season, a few new Trek shows in the pipeline, we figured Paramount would want to dish out the episodes as slowly as possible. Well, the announcement came with the new trailer for season 5, featuring what appears to be a bit of dialogue-y from the final episode. Naturally, we'll be covering each episode of the season, beginning with the episodes 1 and 2 the same day they premiere. Oh boy. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah. Now, Paramount just unveiled one of the newest series called Stargaze, and it's intended to be a web series of conversations between the unprecedented stars on screen who bring diverse characters to life.
I think that's underrepresented.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm underrepresented. I'm sorry. I kind of slid over that word. In the premiere episode, Sonequa Martin Green and Tawny Newsome sit down and talk about Trek representation and spill a bit of Earl Grey tea. Okay. In the interview does not include some of the conversations they've had that we've seen in the promotion clips for the show, but it is an entertaining half hour that also gets into some weighty issues. We'll have the link to in the show notes for this episode. The Trek fans on the ocean. On the topic is Trek.
Hey, I'm pushing buttons.
Ding.
I'm going to
.com.
reboot the other computer. It's just not happy tonight.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ding. I'll just do it manually then.
There you go. All right. Do I need to get my sound effects up?
No, please don't. We'll have conflicting sound effects.
When we're having no sound effects. What do you mean?
I'm going to fix it.
There you go.
We're not hearing yours either.
There you go.
Okay. Clinton, I think that's your cue. Save this show. You're muted.
Please. You're muted.
Wow. We take a couple of weeks off. And
No, I tried to mute during the other person's, and look what I get.
Hey, wait a minute. Starfleet just called and they told us to stop.
Yeah, really. No one asked
you got a
me.
cease and desist from Roddenberry.
I know you guys saw Sonequa and Tawny on the cruise. Did you get a chance to see this? Watch this interview?
I've not watched the interview. I knew it was happening, but I didn't know. I didn't get to watch it.
I guess not really an interview so much as a conversation that the two of them are having. So, but it's definitely edited. I think they keep in a lot of good stuff, but as we talked about, you'll see things in the clips when they promote it, and you don't get that part of the conversation. So there is some editing that went on during this, but a lot of stuff does get covered with it.
Hey, if Tawny Newsom's sitting around talking, there's going to be some editing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's move on. Not think about that. I'm going to have Craig, if you can, at the appropriate times, advance slides for me. Okay. If you were ever a fan of Night Court, like I was, and I am, then be sure not to miss next Tuesday's episode of season 2 of the reboot. Now, you probably already know that Brent Spiner played a semi-reoccurring character named Bob Wheeler on the show. Well, Bob and his wife, June, will be back in court to face Judge Stone. Except, of course, the judge is now Abby Stone, Harry Stone's daughter. But Dan Fielden will be there, so no doubt with appropriate reactions, especially that Dan is now the court's defense attorney and may have to defend the Wheelers this time around, which is a nice spin on things.
Yep.
Okay, now I'm going to take a drink here because this is where I go down the rabbit hole. And you all know what that's like. So follow me, won't you? All right. Doing a bit of investigating, I found a video of a convention at which friend of the show, Larry Nemechek, asked Brent Spiner about the character of Bob Wheeler. For a long answer involving Texas and the former Howard Johnsons in Times Square, a place that I have had a meal or two in the past, Brent does answer the question. I'll have a link to that video in the show notes for this episode. Trek fans on the ocean over at thetopicistrek.com. But let's go deeper. In answering Larry's question, Brent explained that he had been doing that voice since he was a kid. Then he talked about the plan to have Bob and June Wheeler become recurring characters on the show during the show's 6th season. But at that point, Star Trek had come along and dashed those ideas. Still, it wasn't the end for Bob Wheeler. In a fashion, during season 3 of the sitcom Mama's Family, Brent played a character named Billy Bob Conroy in 2 episodes of the show. And the character was essentially Bob Wheeler.
Oh, no.
I'll also have a link to the part of the episode that he makes his appearance in the show notes for this episode. And while Annie O'Donnell will return to play June Wheeler, Bob's wife, Carrie Houlihan will not be returning to play the daughter, Carol Ann. But comedian musician Kate Musucci will be taking on that role. Okay, so it's time to stop going down the rabbit hole. Just watch Night Court next Tuesday at 8, 7 Central on NBC. And that was not a paid promo. That was just me going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, this was one of those shows.
Any of the reboot of Night Court?
I have not.
I have.
I
have been watching it because it was something my parents loved this show, and I watched a good bit of this one, of Night Court, the original Night Court, because I thought it was fantastic back in the day. So I need to catch up and finish up with it, but I've been watching it, and when I saw the news, actually, I think Kim, my wife, had asked me. We were talking about something, and I said, Brent Spiner was in Night Court. She goes, Night Court, and I mentioned Bob Wheeler, And she was like, really? And we talked about it a little bit on the cruise. I was not aware that he was actually going to be back playing it. And I said, she said, do you think he'll be back playing it? I says, I don't know. And then like
And then this
2
started
days after we
coming
get
up.
back, here's the news.
And
Right.
and in the interview with Larry Nemechek, when Larry's asking him about it, he talks about, this was 4 years ago. At least the video was posted 4 years ago. I'm not sure how long ago the interview actually was, but he talks about he had hoped that there would have been a reboot of the show, but then of course, Harry Anderson passed away,
Right.
and so that dashed those hopes. But things change in Hollywood. Now he's going to be making a reappearance on the reboot of Night Court.
Yeah. So I'm I'm looking forward to seeing this, and I'll definitely be checking this out.
All right, so let's move on to our next story. Speaking of the cruise, take it away, Chuck.
While on board the 2024 Star Trek cruise, Doug Jones recounted his getting some words of wisdom from none other than Sir Patrick Stewart. Our favorite Kelpian was on a Discovery panel with co-stars Sonequa Martin Green, David Ajala, Anthony Rapp, Mary Chieffo, and Eve Harlow. Reminiscing on the negative reception Star Trek Discovery Season 1 received from longtime Trek fans, Doug Jones told the story of meeting Patrick Stewart at the 2018 Oscars red carpet and what Stewart told him after learning Jones was now part of Star Trek. He says, I was the Oscars in early 2018, and we just had finished filming Season 1 of Discovery, and Sir Patrick was right behind me in the red carpet line. So I turned to him. Sir, Mr. Patrick, Mr. Stewart, I'm Doug Jones, and I'm in The Shape of Water. That's why I'm here. But we have a connection. I'm actually also in the new Star Trek series, Discovery. All he said to me was, oh, I hope you know what you're in for. Yes, now I do. And I love every minute of it. Yep.
Chuck, that's the worst Patrick Stewart I've ever heard.
I wasn't going to go there.
And the Doug Jones wasn't that spot on either.
Yep. Once you're in the family, you're in the family.
Right.
Craig and I will have a lot more to say about the cruise in just a few minutes.
That's right. So, who said there's nothing new to discover in classic Trek?
There's nothing new to discover in classic Trek.
I knew somebody would say it.
Wrong.
Right. A few days ago, YouTube user, there's
well, he's not a
YouTuber,
YouTuber, I guess. I guess he doesn't.
Yeah, YouTuber. Here you go. Rob O'Hara uploaded a rare off-the-air VHS recording made decades ago. It was a show aired on TV station KAUT. I wanted to say Kraut. KAUT.
Careful.
Yeah, on Channel 43 in Oklahoma City. It had Leonard Nimoy hosting an airing of the Star Trek's the first motion picture, not that motion picture. We mean the Menagerie.
Hmm?
So we all know that Trek became very popular in syndication in the 70s. By 1975, Paramount wanted a way to extend the Trek live action catalog. The studio stitched together parts 1 and 2 of the Menagerie and labeled it as a movie. So Nimoy shot host segments as himself. We see him being beamed in into the transporter room onto the bridge, sort of. And the backgrounds were just short loops of footage from the series. These movies, quote unquote movies, became a trend in many shows, but most of the time, we came across it just came across as two completely different episodes, because that's what they were really. At least the Menagerie parts 1 and 2 were very much the same story. Excuse me. So O'Hara presents the footage as a video with a video. And so he adds lots of information about the unique piece of Trek history. So we'll have a link of the video in the show notes for this episode. Trek fans on the ocean over at thetopicstrek.com. One thing that surprised us was the fact that the tape was tapes. It's interesting to note that the airing was digitized, had been shown on Channel 43 in Oklahoma City in 1983. Yep, this quote unquote movie was still airing after the motion picture and the Wrath of Khan had already premiered, and the year this for the Spock Search for Spock would premiere.
It's just so weird to think about him talking about this movie
Right,
when there actually were movies.
right, yeah.
But that's what happens when it goes into syndication and just stays there forever.
So Star Trek 3 was actually Star Trek 4. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, all the numbering is wrong.
He was pretty bold in the video to say, the menagerie is probably the best episode of Star Trek ever.
I know it's kind of sad because that was like the first episode.
Yeah,
The
and
first episode.
and City on the Edge of Forever was nominated for awards. I don't remember the menagerie coming up for anything.
Well, he's trying to sell this as a
I
thing
know.
to stay and watch. But anybody that's watched Star Trek ever, and it's at this point it's extremely popular in syndication in 1975, will go, I've seen this. This is just the menageries, part 1 and part 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a movie.
I've seen this movie before. Wait.
I'm going to go again and again. Much better than Cats.
Right.
But do you guys remember we had a whole slew of these things that would come up? Battlestar Galactica did this, Space 99 did this. It just kind of, and those they just jammed 2 episodes together, no continuing storyline, no nothing. Just like what is this?
Here, look at this, kids.
Yeah. Now we
Bring it
have
all together.
twice as much story.
I mean, that Hollywood was lazy today. They've been doing this for a long time.
Wow.
I'll tell you, when you mentioned Battlestar Galactica, I know we're getting a little off the Star Trek topic, but Battlestar Galactica, there was a magazine, and I mentioned this on our show Technorama with Chuck a long time ago. But there was a magazine called Pizzazz magazine. It came from Marvel, but it had
Jazz hands.
that's right, Pizzazz. And Pizzazz had a lot of stories about movies and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I remember seeing a fold out. It was like 2-page picture. I'm trying to remember if it was Pizzazz. Maybe it was. Anyway, I got the magazine over here, but it was a picture of Starbuck and Apollo on one side of a little rock bridge, and they got their posing. They're shooting towards a Cylon.
That's from the pilot.
Yes, and the Cylon's standing there, and I remember as a kid being a Star Wars fan, looking at that picture, going, "What a ripoff! It looks like Darth Vader, but he's chrome."
Chrome Vader.
Completely different.
I mean, there's only one Cylon sitting there, so it looks like he's the villain. And it's a chrome Darth Vader. What a rip!
No, Darth Vader had 2 eyeball sockets, and the Cylon has this.
Well, it was
It goes back and forth like Kit.
It was literally sideways, so it's hard to tell. I have to see if I can see you in the picture, but yeah, I was like, "What a rip!" To coin a '70s phrase, "What a rip off!"
Yeah, well, I'm one of those people that saw Battlestar Galactica in the theater and sense around. So
Oh,
I paid the
how about
price.
that?
All right. Exactly, Eric. Exactly. Well, we have no new news out of Vulcan, Alberta, Canada once again, and I'm getting concerned. But as pointed out before, well, it's winter there and things are kind of slow. So
Are they still there?
they're still there. I checked. They're
You
having just kind of things
I
involving.
looked on Google Maps. They're there.
Yeah, things.
you
So
called
they're
City Hall. Hey,
fine.
are
They're
you
just
guys
in
still there?
hibernation. Yeah, and they're in hibernation right now. So we'll get back to them as soon as possible. But we have links to dozens of stories, and I don't have an exact number because I'm still putting some more in after we finish recording the show. There's so many. This is what happens when we're off for that long, of stories that you can read when you go to the show notes for this episode. Trek Fans on the Ocean over at thetopicistrek.com. And a little bit of everything in there. A lot of this time around, a lot of stuff, articles that had to deal with TOS, which is unusual. I don't know why it was suddenly getting this new burst of stories about it, but it's always interesting to check those trend lines to see how things are going. Also, Paramount Global was releasing their financials, and I didn't have time to sift through it enough to be able to give a presentation on that and try to keep it as short as possible. So we'll deal with that in our next episode when the dust is settled on stuff, and maybe they've been sold. Who knows what will happen at that point? So in the meantime, it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show. Not when StreamYards drops me, which is already done twice this episode, but when I get to say goodbye, Charlie.
I want to stay.
No, you need to disembark.
Yes,
It's a Pepper's ghost, Charlie.
Yeah. Sorry, you have to disembark at your designated time.
Disembark of the Embarcadero. Yeah, all right.
Disembark?
So it's time to head out on a main mission with an appropriate sound effect, if we have any sound effects going on right now.
I got it fixed for now.
Oh, okay.
No, Craig. That was Craig. A little slow on the wrong button.
That's right.
So our main mission is we're going to be talking about, well, Chuck and Craig are going to be talking about, and I will chime in with the occasional question, and I have some slides from them that we can go through as well, or kind of as a visual aid. We don't want to, put aside the people that are listening to the podcast, but we do have some visual stuff as well. Star Trek The Cruise took place from February 22nd to 29th of this year, and it departed out of Port Canaveral with stops in Curacao and Aruba. So it was 7 glorious days and 3 fun-filled nights. I don't know how that works out.
That's about how much sleep I got.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you talking about our sleep schedule? Yeah.
Pretty much. By the way, this is a visual representation of what the cruise ship looked like in space.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Just letting you know that.
Yep.
All right. But before we get into the actual cruise itself, I believe the first thing I've got here is you guys, because obviously the as I mentioned, the cruise was taking place out of Port Canaveral. Looks like you made a side trip to the Space Center.
One of us did. Actually, that first picture there, it was of the vehicle assembly building in NASA. Mm-hmm. I happened to look out the window and went, holy crap, we're going by NASA. And I had to snap some pictures, and that's from the airplane. So
wow.
I
was wondering how you were getting so high up to take a picture of that building.
That's a long selfie stick.
Yeah.
And then he was taking pictures, and then the person in the center seat and window seat said, "Sir, can you get off our lap?"
No. Actually, Kim said, "What's that?" And the first, you don't have it here, but there's a couple pictures I took of the launch pads, and I went, "Oh, holy crap, this is NASA!" And then I got that picture, and of course, that astronaut was just hanging around in the lobby of my hotel.
Oh, up in your hotel?
Yeah. The hotels have various NASA stuff.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And the picture you've got there of me and Donna is actually after the cruise. It was when we disembarked. We went to Kennedy Space Center. It was a shore excursion at the we basically left from the terminal. I've never had a shore excursion after a cruise, but that was fun. A bit of an odd story though. The image when we got there, the countdown clock. We got there. It wasn't counting down the mission that was going off that day. They said, "Oh, there's a launch going off sometime between 10:30 and 12:30 today." So we got there at 10:15, got off the bus, ran through the park, and got to the observation deck with 5 minutes to spare. It was overcast, and we saw the rocket go up. And by the time I figured out where it was, they had like a simulcast on a live stream, which was about 10 seconds delayed, as many live streams are. And I was watching that screen and watching the countdown clock, and the countdown clock got to 0, and I didn't see anything take off. By the time I found out where the rocket was, it looked like somebody basically threw a match in the air because it disappeared into the clouds. Like, oh, that little flame was it. Then you heard the sound effect. Now, if you've ever been at an airport when a jet comes in for a landing and slams on its brakes, and you hear that big rumble, the whole sky rumbled like that, twice as loud for twice as long. It was awesome.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because I didn't realize the time clock was off.
Yeah.
However, I knew there was a launch that day, and I was like, and I remember thinking, why is the time clock that far off?
Well, there's another launch coming up later that day.
Right.
So we walked in, like I said, about 10:15. That launch clock said T-minus 13 hours. We were there for 2.5 hours. We had to be back on the bus by 1:30. I came back and took a picture later. It said T-minus 5 hours. somewhere we lost 8 hours. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
They're just messing with you.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
time is relative, and they're pointing it out by having this giant clock.
There's a black hole close to the rocket garden or whatever they
We
call
need
it.
Aaron McDonald back stat to explain all of this.
Sure.
But it's funny that you, like I said, you brought that up because I remember thinking, well, that doesn't look like the right time if they just, because they just left the ship and that other launch just took off. Why does it say
there were some others going on?
Yeah, that's funny.
So anyway, back to the cruise. We sort of
All
jumped
right, so
over to the end of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's quickly talk about the ship itself, because this time around, I think it's your first time doing the cruise on the Mariner of the Seas. Well,
No, we did have the Mariner before, but Beckett Mariner wasn't there. It was before Tawny Newsome came along. So this is the second time that we've sailed on the Mariner.
By the way, Clinton, somebody had posted on Facebook Boimler of the Seas and had it scratched out and had Boimler sitting there like this.
You don't want to get on a ship that's been boimed. I'm telling you right now. You don't want that. All right, it's not a new ship to you guys. One of the other cruises was
yeah, and we went on the Explorer last year, which is the same class, very similar layout. So it was familiar territory all around. The cast, oh man, I can't even name them all, but there were a lot. We had many of the usuals: Doug Jones, Denise Crosby, John Delancey, Garrett Wong. Once again, they tried to get Robert Duncan McNeil, but he backed out. So
a commitment from.
And then you had Discovery, Anthony Rapp, Cynical Martin Green was there. People were super excited about that.
We had Walter,
which is great.
Walter was there, so he was the TOS representative this time around. Who else do we have? We did get to see Eve Harlow. She showed up, even though she doesn't show up for a couple more weeks on the show. Armin Shimmerman and Max Grodenchik were there. So representatives from pretty much every show, including the animated series and Picard. Ed Spaliers was there.
There's Robert Ricardo there.
Robert Ricardo, yep, he's a regular.
Yeah, Connor Trenier.
David Ajala joined us for the first time.
Yeah.
Now, usually what we find is at conventions, and I think on the cruise as well, you can tell who's been on a cruise before as far as the celebrities go and who hasn't. Just like who's been to a convention before and who hasn't.
Yeah.
At the level of comfort or non-comfort sometimes with the crowd. So rather than asking, say, who was most like shy about it, of the people that were new, who was the most like, I'm gonna go out there and do stuff and have fun and just like be everywhere? I think one of them was Todd.
Todd was surprisingly, I mean, he was great but I only saw him on stage. I really didn't see him roaming around too much. John Billingsley was back. He's always fun.
I would say that I think based on past feedback that people were seeing more stars walking around than in the past. But there are some stars that you didn't see as much of.
Right.
But yeah, like Robert Ricardo, I saw him like 8 times, I didn't go approach him or anything, but
Armin and Max were pretty fair spot. Will Wheaton was pretty aloof. He was at his signings and autographs and whatnot. I did get him to autograph his favorite board game that I have. I brought it. I was listening to Gates McFadden's podcast a while back. It's called Gates McFadden Investigates Who You Are.
That's right. So clever.
And she did a 2-parter with Will. And one of the questions she said was, what is your favorite board game? And he said, oh, it's an old game from the late 70s, early 80s called the Mad Magazine game. And he had been on Star Trek Cruise VII when you were there, Clinton. That's the last time we've seen him. And I said, oh, if he ever gets on another cruise, I'm bringing it and hope we can play. So we saw him at that entry ceremony, the sail away party on the first day. And I said, Will, I'm staying right next to him across the
I know you see me. I know you see
me.
And
I waved him over and I said, hey,
there's your picture, Chuck.
What's the odds that you and I can play the Mad Magazine game? And he went, you brought it? And he was very excited. He said, my schedule is kind of busy. So I signed up later for an autograph session with him and had him sign it. So my dear decrepit old falling apart board game is there. And
Wait a minute. So I was in line with you.
Yeah.
I walked up to the table with you. I
Mhm.
mean, I wouldn't get anything signed because I didn't pay for it. But you open the box and tell everybody what the little tokens.
Oh,
The
it's
player
so
tokens
most
are.
of the tokens are lost. I don't even know if any of them are original. There's one that's a rock. Yeah. There's a piece from Sorry.
Is it a
There's
rock or a
there's
Chicote prayer stone?
Yes.
a Pepsi screw-on bottle cap. There are 2
Yeah.
Bud Light bottle caps. One is bent, so you don't get them confused.
Yeah, of course.
It's just really it's got character, I'll say.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
When you showed those little tokens, I thought this kind of embodies the Mad Magazine board game.
Yeah,
Exactly.
really.
Yeah,
That
that's
should
I
be the
love it.
actual tokens.
Well, the lady in front of me started talking, and he mentioned something about dial-up bulletin boards, and I totally forgot until that point. When I got up there, I said, "You just reminded me, I used to run a dial-up bulletin board called the Enterprise."
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, what software did you use?" I said, "We wrote our own." He said, "Was it part of FidoNet?" I said, "No, it was Usenet." He goes, "Really?" I mean, he was downright nerdy impressed with I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a long time ago, but
And-
it was a lot of fun. He's cool.
Now the other thing that he did while we were standing in line waiting on him, and it was fun. This is what I like is when seeing actors or stars interacting with the people,
Mhm.
their fans, and so the people, like the little people.
The people.
But what was cool was this one girl came up, and the first thing she said was she was apologizing because he was the last of the TNG crew to sign a bookmark that she had, but he turned it around. He went, "Wait,
Wait,
we're finishing a
we've
quest."
completed a quest. He
Yeah.
announced it. He said
He went, yeah, he got crazy over it. He's like,
he got
"Wait,
this
wait,
like
we're
streamers
finishing."
and poppers on it. Boy,
Yeah, he
this
put
lady
this
felt
little
really honored. Like,
he put this little ring on that had streamers, and he went, for people that are watching the video, he went and popped his hand out to make the streamers come out. "We're finishing a quest." He was making a big deal about it, and he signed the bookmark for her. And I thought that was pretty nice.
that was cool.
Also, he would say, "Well, you saved the best for last." What
Yeah.
let me tell you.
Hey,
True.
there was another lady that had a D12, and he had signed it twice before. So
How do you sign a D12?
big. It was like
Oh,
the size of
okay.
a
Yeah.
softball.
Yeah, it was like a
Right.
big foam one.
So
you know.
he every time he signed on
No,
the
a big
number-
foam one is that's when the crews get compressed into those. No, you don't want to sign that. That they're gonna have these tattoos on them when they get reconstituted.
Right.
like 2 years ago, he signed side number 1 and dated it, then side number 2. So now he's on number 3, and he said, "I guess we're going to keep doing this for another few years." So it was nice. It was a lot of fun, but again, he was very hard to find outside of those scheduled events.
Well, speaking of which, one of those scheduled events, which I found interesting, is their take this year on which presentation.
Oh my God.
do.
Fox
and
Brain.
Oh
Fox
my gosh.
Brain.
That was freaking hilarious. I'm not kidding you. Robert Picardo was great as Spock because he's got that stoic face already. And he was kind of blank the whole time. Oh, there went Clinton. He'll come back.
He'll be back.
So anyway, one thing that Robert Picardo did that was hilarious was he's standing there holding the script, trying to look like he's having no interaction with everybody. And let me wait for Clinton to come back. Okay.
I'm back.
All right. So Robert Picardo standing there with a script in his hand, no words, standing there with that stupid thing on his head.
Staring
And he
straight
just goes,
ahead.
And he just goes, he flips the pages like he's paying attention. You know? And he did that a few times. But his stoic face was fantastic.
So I did get a free Garrett Wang signature. The on previous cruises, I've bought a stick-on whiteboard. They have door decorating competition.
Yes,
and
I've got it.
I do a question of the day. So and man, people were creative. I thought of some ahead of time, but they took it to a new level this year. Let's see. Star Trek Cruise of the Day for day number 4. The Gorn from Strange New Worlds have been reported aboard Mariner of the Seas. What do you do? One person said, "Go overboard."
That's okay.
One said, "Feed it John Delancey."
Oh my.
Another one said, "Introduce it to the washy ladies."
Yeah.
Give it a high five. Lead
Right.
them to the poison quattrotriticale. All hail our lizard masters. I mean, these people were just crazy. And then at one point I said, choose your weapon. That's all. That wasn't even a question. It was just choose your weapon, or who's your favorite musician. So Garrett came by and he signed his name and wrote Batleth on the choose your weapon day.
Yeah.
So I saved that. I cut it out. It's really hard to get something on whiteboard home safely without it wearing out. So I have to be very careful until I get some tape over this thing.
You can just have them go over
Laminate it.
Permanent marker at Dragon Con.
It was so cool because yeah, just doing stuff like that. People would drop off things. I had a little magnetic marker holder, so you could hold the markers. People dropped off. I got a Moopsie pin.
Whoopsie.
Oh no.
I got
Throw it overboard.
stickers. I got a little tribble. Someone left me one of last year's Gorn. The little towel Gorns we got.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't need another one of these. I have one that hasn't been decorated. He's still in my cubbies that hold my shoes
Right.
last year. So the swag we got
No.
Gorn here.
Props
new
to
passport.
there Gary is. There's
There's
Gorn.
the Gorn, the towel Gorn.
Props to ECP for
Yeah.
giving us gifts that were not given before.
Well, that's hard to do because
Well, we did get the passport thing before.
right, because the year that I was with you guys, there was a passport, it was a backpack,
Yeah.
the poster, of course, a hat.
I mean,
A baseball cap. We got a new hat this year, the big wide brim sun hat.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say was they kind of mixed it up. So you got a wide brim straw hat. We got a license plate.
Yep.
It's an STV7, for the 7th. There was a poster, obviously a t-shirt, and the passport cover.
The thing about the passport cover,
I always make you take the passport.
Yes, I have it in that, but I have it in it so I can easily remove it because nobody will take it at the
anywhere.
Yeah.
Not a TSA, not a customs, never.
Yeah. This one was more like a wallet too, because it had some little card slots, so you could put the. It has
we
a little
bags. We got bags, but these are kind of not very useful bags. They're about 2.5 feet high, 2 feet wide, and about 3 inches thick. So unless you're carrying a deck of posters around, or you're going shopping for 20 baguettes, they're not really going to do you much good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about the wall, the door decorations, and a couple of pictures in here that I think Craig you took. One is of Nomad.
Yes.
On the door.
Yes. That was.
You said Nomad talked.
Yeah, well, you walk by it and it was it would say, "You are in error," or whatever nomad things.
You are a biological unit.
Yeah.
So it was motion activated type of thing.
Yes. You would go by because I would always walk by it not thinking, and then it would speak. I'm like, "What?" Oh, and somebody else had
ignore them.
Somebody else had a thing on their door that would also speak. No, not speak, but you'd walk by it and you go, shoo, make the door close.
I think I'm going to start making some more electronic stuff in the future.
Yeah. And then, of course, right beside that picture, I know if you're watching the audio or listening to the audio, you see this.
Watching the audio is really boring.
There's all the robots from not Futurama, Lower Decks. All the maniacal robots that they have in incarceration.
Peanut hamper.
Yeah. And there was some other clever ones too. Kim picked up a bookmark. It was Data and Dr. Crusher dancing, which is kind of cool.
Well, speaking about evil computers, sent some pictures of seen on board, and one of the people is carrying a very evil computer with him.
Yep. There's Armus. Actually, what's funny is I took this picture, and then a few days, a day or two later, I spoke to this guy, and I think he was on our excursion, and I said, "Oh man, I saw a guy carrying Armus." He went, that was me. I went, oh, sorry.
Good job,
Going back-
Craig. Well,
going back
way to go
honest
with the
about
internet.
you.
Well, you can see he's not making eye contact with me in that picture.
As opposed to me, I pay attention to everybody. I had way too many conversations with wonderful people.
Yeah.
Lots of the lady in the middle, she was wearing
sorry.
she's driving around the scooter, and I caught up from her from behind, and she had a sign on the back that said something to the effect of, "I knew I shouldn't have worn my red shirt today." And I thought that was funny that she was in a scooter making a fun about the red shirt. Then I got to the
Right.
front and saw a similar sign, and she was talking to some people, and I realized her face is all banged up. I mean, she's got this big old purple splotch on her jaw. And she said, I introduced myself. Her name's Leedy. And I said, Leedy, what happened? And she said, well, I fell down a couple weeks ago. And my son-in-law thought it'd be funny to put these signs on my scooter. I said, he was right.
Yep.
He was right. You're getting
Yep.
a lot of attention. I saw her later in the week and had a wonderful conversation with her again. So it got to be the last night in karaoke, and the room was packed. It was Connor Trinier and Anthony Montgomery hosting a 2-hour thing at the end. I got up to sing, and I looked out in the audience, and there must have been 100 people in the room or more. And I could name at least 20 just by looking at them and going, there's Kevin, there's Rose, just naming these people. It was, oh, yeah, now he's got some interesting experiences up
Wait a
here.
minute, hold on before you move on.
Yeah.
Go back to that slide before.
The cat people?
Yeah. So that is Cleo and Leslie.
So you did learn some names.
Yeah, they were
Besides
on
Marge.
well, they were also on our excursion, but we watched. We met Leslie, but her husband, obviously the taller guy, he was in the chair having it applied. We spoke to him about it the day after, and they were talking about how long it took, and it took like several hours to put this on. And I was like, I would hate to pay to get this put on and look so good, and then have to take it back off.
Right. So yeah, they were definitely getting the full. No, this is why you talk about the actors talk about. I was at the studio at 5 o'clock in the morning for a 9 o'clock shoot.
Absolutely. Now these would take about 2 to 4 hours. It depends on what it is, but that, I mean, you can tell it looks pretty good, and it matches their natural skin very well. So it's hard to see even where it blended together. It was great.
There were a lot of people getting the makeup jobs. We saw many Ferengi, some Romulans.
Were there more makeup artists than previous years? Because it seems like
there were 2.
I saw 3 to 4.
Okay.
One day when we were down, Kim and I were in. It was in the
Subspace Rhapsody.
Subspace Rhapsody lounge, and there was about 4 guys, and one was kind of floater helping people out. So yeah, there was at least 3 or 4 people.
Dr. Muhammad Noor was getting some pointed ears on, and I said, "You can't be a Vulcan because you're always smiling." Goes,
I posted that on Facebook saying, "Hey, what's this species reassignment procedure?"
Well, he's like Cybok. He's the smiling Vulcan. You know,
that's what I said. Unless you're Cybok, wipe that grin off your face, or you're a Romulan. He goes, "I'm a Romulan."
Yes.
So it was a lot of fun. I saw a very good Borg, complete with the kind of grayish and the black lines. He was our leader because this year Donna and I got assimilated. This is our 5th cruise.
Oh wait, the guy you took a picture of, I saw him getting his makeup. He was sitting in one of the chairs, and
Which guy I took a picture of?
It was that kind of short. It was shorter than you, but he was kind of as thinner kind of guy with the DS9 gray shoulder pad uniform on.
Yeah, okay, I'm drawing a blank on that one.
You took a picture with him. Anyway, so he was a Borg, and we saw him in the chair for a while, and he was they were painting his hands and everything. And then there was one guy, Kim said, "Why is this one taking so long?" It was a guy, he was a trill, but he didn't have a shirt on or anything, and just under shorts.
Yes.
So he was going down the whole
decoration go. Yes.
All the way down. I was like, Kim goes, "Oh, the makeup guy got a chair." I was like, "Yeah, we can watch him for about another couple hours."
So speaking about running into people now, You had several photo ops that you guys sent me pictures of. One with Kirk and Spock with speaking of the menagerie, blow up of one of the matte paintings from the menagerie, and Chuck having real problems with the captain's chair from Disco. I
I
don't
made
know
an animated GIF out of that. I'm just banging on that thing all day. It's great.
But it's weird because the other photo that you sent, a couple of the photos, I went, this is like flashback to the Star Trek experience. You know, your interactions with this Gorn statue is like you've got several places you've got interactions with this.
I think that's the same Gorn.
It's
from the experience, isn't it?
Could be. He's holding his stick a little low, a little higher than he was back then. Because we have a picture of Craig on he's holding his right hand up high and his left hand down low, and his left hand is at the end of the stick. Well, back in Vegas, it was not that high because we have Craig. The stick is lower, and Craig was getting it in the nuts. That's how I know he's not holding it the same. So we took advantage of this, and we posed a picture where I'm whacking Craig over the head with the stick. So,
oh, is that what we were doing? Okay.
All right, let's talk briefly here about, just so we get a sense of the full experience. You guys did excursions, and I couldn't quite tell, what went with what in here. But I know that one of them, there's pictures of you, Chuck, in a wetsuit. So I'm assuming that was one of your excursions.
John and I went on 2 snorkeling excursions, one on Curacao and one on Aruba. The one on Curacao was the one we were joined by Eve Harlow, and had a great time. The one in Aruba, I wear a wetsuit jacket, short sleeve wetsuit jacket, partly to keep afloat, because I don't float well, and I don't want to spend
nor
all
do
my
I
effort trying to stay afloat.
I don't either.
It also helps keep me warm. I do have a full-length wetsuit, which I got right before we went on Star Trek the Cruise III, but that pack's bigger, and what I found in Hawaii is I got hot and had to take half of it off. I said, well, if I'm only going to wear half of it, I'll buy a short one. So when we were in Hawaii in 2022 with Lisa and Grantis, I rented one and then just bought it at the end. So sitting next to me is Woody. That's the Jean-Luc Picard lookalike. He's an old friend. We see him on every cruise.
Yeah.
Woody from Texas. He and his wife Celeste, wonderful couple. We interact with them quite often.
Does he have a winery in Texas?
Easy to spot. Easy to spot.
Does he have a vineyard in Texas?
No.
Oh.
It's
not
funny.
Doing cosplay right.
It's no.
We also saw the gentleman from Dragon Con who looks like Scotty.
Yes.
He's been on the cruise, and I said, look, I've seen you so many years at Dragon Con. You're on the cruise. Yep. What is your name? He said, it's Larry. He's from Alabama, Arkansas, whatever.
He's from Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, because
it's one of those.
He's Larry and his brother Daryl.
Your mind wants to put Scotty's voice in this person, but it doesn't come out. Same thing with Woody. You want to hear Patrick Stewart, but what you hear is, "Hi, Chuck."
And they're wise enough to know I can't do it, so I'm not going to try.
Right. Yeah. He's got the smile, he's got the pose, but
that's 2 things about that guy. So I saw him. I saw him several times, but 2 times we were having breakfast at one of those, like a bar, where it's like not a bar, but like a bar and with a table bar.
Yeah.
And he's sitting on the end of it. We're sitting on one end. And I saw a guy come up to him, and even when he's not in costume, he looks like, Scotty. He's got the darker gray mustache with the white hair. And he said, I got to tell you, I just want to let you know that TOS means a lot to me. Blah, blah, blah. And he kind of started confessing his whole life to this guy. I'm like, and Larry said, thank you. What do you say? I'm like, I was trying to figure out if the guy was serious or he was messing with him, Larry. But
I think Larry took the right tact with that.
Yeah, all I could say was thank you. And he was gracious about it. I was surprised. Well, the second time I talked to him, I said, I got to know your name, because just like Chuck did. I was like, I've seen you at Dragon Con I said, "You come to Dragon Con, right?" He says, "Yes." I
Yeah,
said,
he'll be there.
"Okay." I said, "We've seen you at Dragon Con a million times. I want to know your name." He said, "Larry." And I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Huntsville, Alabama." And he mentioned, I said, "What do you do?"
I'm an
And he
engineer.
said that he works on missile guidance systems. I went, "So you are an engineer?" He said,
Mhm.
"Yes, I am."
It is time travel right there.
So he was pretty cool about it. But yeah. Anyway,
And
that's weird.
tell us about your excursion. Craig, you went, looks like you were doing some scouting out and
Okay.
about.
The
This was
mango farm?
this was the worst excursion ever. All right. So first off, the ship comes in about an hour late. Not a problem.
Oh,
We get on the excursion. The buses are there. No problem. We go on the excursion. We go to a mango farm. All right, that's part of it. And then we're going to a beach later. We go to the
okay.
mango farm. They start walking us around, showing us the place. We saw these beautiful mango trees. But guess what?
It's not mango season.
Yeah, mango season is between October and December. I
So
was
you're
like,
looking at bare trees.
yeah. I said, what
Yeah.
the hell are we doing here? Hey, they didn't even have any in the commissary like to eat. Or I was like, are you serious? So there was that. And then
Wow.
when we got to the beach, because of the delay of the ship, we only had like an hour to get in the water.
Well,
It's
that
like,
was like the cruise that when we went on the cruise and we did the river, the float down the river, but it wasn't the rainy season, so they had to pull us most of the way. Just timing is everything, and this
oh
was
my
not
God.
good timing.
They don't
Yeah.
tell you that,
No.
before you sign up.
Now
No,
the guy that gave us the tour of the mango farm, he was entertaining, but it was like, really, what am I looking at here? So there's that. Yeah.
All right, and there was one picture that was in what you guys sent me that I just couldn't make any heads or tails out of.
The butter.
For the listener, you can explain what it is. What the heck is going
Oh,
on in this photo?
Okay. So they had pig races on stage.
But they're not real pigs.
No, they're little mechanical ones.
they're triple pigs.
They're about the
Fuzzy
size
automated
of
fuzzy
about the
toy
size of a
pigs.
football. Yeah, they're just little fur covered plastic things with some
They're fuzzy
animatronics
toy
in them,
pigs.
if you will.
That's that.
Yeah, you wind them up and they take about 4 steps and stop, wiggle their tail, take 4 steps. So they divided the Royal Theater up into 4 sections, so everybody was cheering for their section. And what you see is right near the end, Craig and Kim and Donna and I were in section 3. So the pink pig is like, walk, walk, walk. It's got 1 foot like hanging off the edge, going 1 more step, and it stops to wiggle its tail while the blue one takes the lead and wins.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
But I will give the green one on the end. They had creative names, like Captain Pig Card.
Oh, dear me. I'm glad Sir Patrick wasn't there for that one.
What was the hog one? There was a hog name in there
Yeah,
somewhere.
there were some that were creative. I don't remember them all. I wish I could.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Captain Pig
the
Guard.
morale officers, the cruise director JT, his assistants,
The yellow shirt right
the
there. Yeah.
yellow shirt ladies. They were wearing yellow all the time. That was like the theme color.
Yeah, Discovery uniforms, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
So was that the color of your T-shirt this year? Was yellow? Or
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we had theme nights. So there was a formal night. There was they called it Mutiny on the Holodeck, but everybody just called it Pirate Night, which is why I had that picture of me wearing a pirate hat and the parrot and the Amazon box. I was a porch pirate. So most people walked up to me and said, "Hey, nice parrot." Arr, I be a porch pirate. Well, we're standing in the Royal Theater waiting for the show to start, and the videographer comes around, and I did my shtick, and I went, "Arr," I had a hook, and I'm like, "I be a porch pirate. Maybe I end up in the highlight reels."
usually you have to give Chuck the hook, not have him have it already.
I meant to say blooper reels, but I said highlight reels, and then like the next day, we get this notice, Chuck, you made the highlight reel. In fact, I was like, on StarTrek.com, day 5 of the cruise, the cover art is me.
Yeah, that's
With a play button over your face.
That's- Yeah, did you see me?
that's what. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was like
Mike Wazowski.
yeah, Mike on Monsters Inc. I made it. I'm on TV. Look. You know,
Okay.
yeah.
It was kind of funny. I didn't realize how seriously he was going to take my self-promotion.
Right.
Sometimes I forget what I learned from marketing
Yeah.
people.
I didn't do
All right.
so well. I actually had that picture of the Orion Pirates from TAS. You know, that didn't work so well. So, and there goes Clinton again.
Yeah, well, we'll continue.
I do have a couple of short stories to share.
We got assimilated. So this was our 5th year for the cruise.
Yeah.
And Donna and I were gathered up in the room. They say on the last day, I think it was Wednesday, they said, meet us at 11:45 in the observation lounge. If you're familiar with cruise ships, you know, Royal Caribbean has a characteristic circular deck way up high by the smokestack. And that's where we met. There were probably
Right
80
up there. If you
people.
look in the video,
We gathered together. They got a bit of a late start, but we marched out, and they're playing this very Borg like dum dum ba-dum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum theme. We line up on the patio. JT does this little speech like, "You are the honored people who, you know, remember to put the toilet seat down," you know, that kind of stuff, just to have some fun. Then Michelle Hurd came out, and she did a little speech or two.
yeah.
And while there's no direct benefit this year, next year we're part of the Borg Collective alumni. So we get special lanyards, we get invited to parties, I think.
Does this
So-
really happen with the regular Borg?
I've never seen more people.
Doesn't they pay that much money?
Absolutely. I've never seen more people so excited to get assimilated. Now next year's Craig, and we're going to work on t-shirts like "I for one welcome our cybernetic overlords," or
Yeah. I'm here for the Wi-Fi.
we're working on t-shirt ideas. This is a work in progress. Clearly we need some help.
That's right.
We met our okay. These are interesting pictures. So we met Michael and Denise Akuda, and I was able to sneak a picture with Michael.
Actually, hey, by the way, it's funny. I saw Denise Akuda almost every morning getting coffee the same time I was.
She was like clockwork.
Yeah. I was like, hey, good morning, Denise. And the next day, hey, good morning, Denise.
And like you said, some of the people are very accessible. The Akudas were some of them. Anthony Rapp was around once in a while. He did a wonderful musical number on his live performance. 2 songs, one he had written for his mother. His mother passed away recently, and he wrote a song for her that was very touching. I mean, I had to get out the Kleenex. The words were of the effect, you know, is this another call or is this the last call? Because when he was talking to her, and I went, oh man, I have a Zoom call with my parents every Wednesday, and that's exactly the thoughts that go through my mind. And then he was asked to sing a song at her service, and sang another very warm song. Luckily, his final number, which was a third of those 3, was a bit more upbeat. But I complimented him on that.
He did a great job.
I hope it wasn't going to sing like from Rent, because that was like, oh, that's going to lighten the mood. So
yeah, well, I do have a quick story about that concert that he put on, which one, as Chuck alluded to, it was very good, especially that number that you're talking about there. But as we were watching, now they made a big production about no photography or video during the show, and so we're sitting near the aisle. Chuck's, you know, on either side of me, and I see this couple walking down, and I'm like, I was like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And so the couple goes down towards the stage, and then I see she leans up against the stage, and he's taking a selfie or a picture of her.
Me.
Wait, you haven't heard it. So he's taking a picture. I was like, what are they doing? I thought they were probably sitting up front, but they're taking a picture. And then after he takes the picture, she immediately goes up the little stairs and goes right on stage with Anthony Rapp.
She was out of it though.
Hey,
I mean,
they were drinking heavily, but
Anthony
right
kept on
after,
going. He's a professional. He never missed a beat, but he's, kind
yeah,
of looking and so
he saw
slowly
her.
walking away. And
Yeah,
she's up on stage just doing this awkward dance, like she's not dancing, but she's
moving. Yeah,
it looked like she was bombed out of her head and maybe
she
didn't even
was.
remember what was going on. It took surprisingly long for security to come out and
Yeah, I
escort
was
her
gonna
up.
say you would think they'd
Mark
be there right away.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would have thought so too. I was a little stunned at how long their response was.
I don't think they even knew what to do, to be honest with you, ECP. But
But
yeah, then they got her off stage and made him leave, and apparently they had words with him later. I don't know what, but I saw them at a bar later, and I just remember thinking, "What the heck were you doing?" You know?
My first thought would be, I don't think you need to be at the bar anymore. But anyway,
No, no,
we
no.
we did see the previous cruisers got a complimentary picture with the Crusher family. So Ed Spaliers, Gates McFadden, Will Wheaton. Uh, when I walked up,
Yeah.
I said, Ed, I loved your work in Outlander. And Gates says, he was a real bastard, wasn't he? I said, yes, that's why it took me so long to like him in Picard. We
Yeah.
did see our cruise family of Andy, TJ, and Viv. We keep in
In the
touch
bottom picture there.
all year
Yeah.
long on our chat group. And TJ, there was a comedy sketch improv kind of show
mhm.
with Ed and Gates and Will.
Which was
And
funny, by the
Todd
way,
Todd
which was really funny, by the way.
Yeah, it was funny. TJ, well, during the photo op, gave Gates a Crusher family shirt with like his graphic. It was kind of cartoony, almost like Jetsons.
Yes.
She wore that on stage for their comedy show
Cool.
and posted it on social media. So TJ's getting all this love. He's like, look at my shirt, man. He's a talented kid. That was cool.
That was cool.
The gentleman also in there is in the trading post, the gift shop with all the Star Trek stuff.
Oh,
I walked up and I said, "Could I get a selfie with you?" And he's like, "This guy works for Royal, I think." And
Mm.
he's like, "People don't normally ask me that." I said, "You look surprisingly similar to my boss." And I'm going to take a picture of this and post it on our group. Later, I ran into someone who looked like one of my teammates. I said, "Hey, excuse me, what's your name?" He says, "Taylor." I said, "Taylor, can I get a picture with you? You look like my teammate Earl." He goes,
Worst
"Really?"
pickup line ever. Yeah.
There's another 6'3"
You remind
Asian
me of
out there.
somebody.
hey, look, time for me to do something.
Time for me to go up on stage with Anthony Rapp.
I
Go
forgot. I left my tribble on fire.
Right.
All right. Well, hopefully that gives you a taste of what
I do
happened
have
on
one
the
more.
cruise.
I have two more quick stories.
Okay.
Oh, look at the here. Wait. We need this one.
I mean,
Let's wrap this up, shall we?
I know. Thank you, Patrick.
My
Sir Patrick.
goodness, look at the time.
Yeah. So anyway, I got two quick stories. One, there was a show called Strange New Duets, which was they tried to pair up people that haven't performed with each other before, and they were doing
Okay.
right.
they were doing shows. They were doing performances. They were great, and the one that I really enjoyed, and Chuck might have a different opinion, but it was Robert Picardo and Doug Jones, Me and My Shadow.
Yep.
And Doug Jones he had like a black ski mask and black outfit on, and he was pretending to be Robert Picardo's shadow
In a very
And
comedic fashion.
A
Yeah,
very
oh my
long
God.
shadow. Very
was-
long shadow.
I wish you could see it. I wish I kind of wish I had broken the rule and recorded it because it was so much fun to watch. But you get to see Doug Jones really contort himself because there was a moment when he got down on his like squatted down and he looked tiny. But then of course he stands up, he looks huge. But Robert Ricardo is such a great voice to sing and but that was fun. The whole thing
They
was fun.
opened that one up. Who was up first? Nana and Nana Visitor, and who was singing with her?
Mary Chifo.
No. It was a guy. But they did a parody of the song "Sisters" from White Christmas, and they came out Cisco. We don't know where he. It was like, hey, he disappeared. He's in the. We hope he comes back. It was, and Max had written like all these songs.
Ah.
It was brilliant. I ran into him one morning. I said, "Hey, Max, do you know who wrote all the songs for the Rat Pack that you did in the previous years?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, sorry, it was me." And I said hello. He had his daughter in tow. I didn't want to keep him because we were on our way to breakfast. But I said, "Do you know where I can get that?" He said, "Funny you should mention that because next week we'll be in Los Angeles signing all the papers and getting these to press and autographing a number of them." So he's
Hmm.
he's still working on stuff. It's it's kind of cool to I acknowledged his daughter. I said, "Hey, who's this?" He goes, "That's my daughter." I said, do you have the same issue that my daughter has?" Because when I go to conferences and whatnot, people are like, "Chuck, can I get a selfie?" And she's like, "It's just my dad." And she kind of, she was
Yeah.
11 or 12 or something. She didn't really know how to, interact with
Mhm.
people. But yeah, you could tell in her eyes, like, yeah, I get that. It's like,
Well,
You had one other quick story, Craig, because we should
yeah.
probably.
So to wrap this up, as we were leaving, Kim and I went to we were at the airport. We were at MLB, which is a small airport, but they still kind of identify as an Orlando airport, which is not, which is kind of interesting. But we're there. There's hardly anybody there. All right. Except for the people on the flight. It's not like a busy airport.
oh, you're
Mhm.
going to end with a happy story, aren't you?
No, hold on. So, so anyway, so we go to the airport. We walk through security in like 2 minutes. It's like nothing. We go to our gate, and Kim goes, "Oh, look, there's LeVar Burton." And I was like, "Yeah, sure is." And we walk by him, and he looks at. I'm thinking he's been on this cruise. I'm not going to bother him and say
Right.
anything. So he looks up at me, at my eyes, and I said, "Hey there," and he said, "Hey," and that was it. And I left him alone. So later on, Kim's like, "Look over there. This lady is won't leave LeVar Burton and his wife alone." And I'm watching, and we're both watching. The lady's talking to him. He's literally the back of his head because he's kind of turned around at this point. He's trying to give her a clue. Even LeVar's wife, now he's trying to be as polite as he can, of course. Even his wife said, "Can you please move along?" And she just would not move and kept trying to, "Oh yeah, that's funny, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "What the heck's going on?" It's just one of those instances where
Well, it's one of
you
those
know,
cases where you get to find out, it's not all upside.
yeah, yeah.
Celebrity does have its price sometimes,
I
and
mean, I
that's
would have
what.
loved to sit there and talk to him for 30 minutes, but I'm not going to bother him because I know he just got off the cruise, and so did she, because she obviously knew who he was, and she was there for the same reason, but she just kept talking. And then
Some people
what's
just don't know. I mean, they
well,
don't read the signals that somebody
no.
talk. They're kind of clueless. But I told you he
Well,
was going to end with
they went,
a happy
what signals? His wife basically told him, "Move
Yeah,
along. Can you
yeah,
move along,
that's a pretty
please?"
big signal. Move
Yeah.
along, move along.
Kim, now you two know my wife. She had totally said, if we don't board in a minute, she's going to go over there and kind of break that,
Yeah,
and divert. And, Kim would do that. And I was like, "Oh, I so want to see this. I so want to see this."
delay the flight. Delay. No, I don't want the flight delay. What am I talking about?
Yeah. But even after the flight, when we landed in Charlotte, now LeVar and his wife were in first class. So they got off the plane first. And you could see that lady was trying to hurry up and get out of the plane, like she was going to go find him again.
That's
I'm
where you take forever getting your luggage out of the overhead bin to
Yeah.
stop it.
Oh, yeah, drop it and
Oh wait, that one's not mine. Let me
unzip
look
it a little
for
bit
mine
and drop
now.
it. Oh, I got to put my clothes back in.
Let me buckle you back in.
Yeah,
Mm,
but that was the ugly side of
yeah,
fandom or whatever.
yeah,
She was not being cool about it at all.
yeah. We've all seen it. All right. Well, hopefully that gives you an overall sense of this year's cruise, and you guys
Yeah.
are signed up again for next year. It's on the East Coast again
Yep.
next year, I believe.
Yep.
Yes, please. That I did not enjoy the one off in the Pacific.
The Ice Age tour.
No. I dressed for a summer cruise. I got frozen on that ship. I mean,
Till we
That was
got past
that was a
Cabo.
Disney cruise line you're on then. If you got frozen, but anyway,
Hey!
it's a Disney cruise. Yeah, the last one the previous one I didn't enjoy as much as I did this one. Yeah, I had a good time though.
all right. Well, coming up for our show here, our next episode is going to be on March 21st. And the main mission there is Chuck's Trek book review, which is going to be Vengeance by Defeed Ab Hugh. And it's a Deep Space Nine Star Trek novel.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be getting the lowdown on that one. And then on April 4th, it's no longer possibly, we will be discussing the Discovery premiere, and not one, but 2 episodes.
That's gonna be tough because that's the day it comes out. But
Exactly.
We'll do our best.
Eric says we're whistling away as we're doing this one. Exactly, Eric's. All right. But for now, it's time to refill the dilithium chamber and try to warp on out of here. I'm Clinton. You can find me at Comedy Forecast, all one word, with the number 4.com. You can find me on all the social medias out there, I think, or maybe not, but a lot of them anyway. And who speaks for you guys?
I'm a little parched, so go ahead, Chuck.
Hey, you can find us by looking for Technorama Podcast. We do a podcast almost every Sunday night if you happen to be around. If we happen to be around.
Yeah.
Obviously, we couldn't do it while we were on the cruise or anything, but we're back in the saddle this Sunday night and coming at you with more geek news and fun and humor and history. And you never know what else. Technorama Podcast.
And you might just learn something. All right, time to hit the theme, boys. If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on X at The Topic is Trek. Visit our Facebook page or visit thetopicistrek.com. Until next time, on behalf of Chuck, Craig, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek,
don't put
on
the
red shirt. Poor guy.
Oh, oopsie. And we're out.
Audio recording stopped.
All right. Well, we had a couple likes here. I know at least somebody was in for a bit.
Yay.
Anybody that was watching or watching afterwards, thank you for watching and going through the 5 versions of the opening. So that was
fun. Never did that before.
It's been a while. We're
a one and
back
done
in the saddle again. So hopefully we'll be okay next time as well. Thank you again for watching and live long and prosper.